Up and out. Nice, that wasn't too bad. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Behind me, 2006 Sprinter. We're gonna be replacing the water pump. Not too crazy, should take a couple hours. Let's get started. So first thing we gotta figure out is how to pull the fan off. According to the manual, over on this side, there should be a bolt that comes out of the front. But it doesn't say anything about pulling the radiator off, but there's just very little room there. So that'll be our first challenge. Let's see if we can get this kind of moved out of the way. We'll pull this off, just a series of 10mm bolts. I think there's 1, 2, and 3, just to get this out of the way, and then we'll see about getting this free so we can get under there and just get a peek at what it looks like. Now on the side of the radiator, see if you can see it, there are these clips right here that we can pull off. So I'm underneath the vehicle. The clips on the left-hand side, one was right here, one up a little higher, are actually easier to get from underneath the vehicle, while the clips on the passenger side or the right-hand side were easier to get from up above. Still underneath, we want to pull this hose off of the shroud. It looks like it just a couple of clips, pop it all off. All of this, just pop it off and separate it from our fan shroud. The main clips just come off like this, and then it can pop out of its little spot. These you can leave here. Here's another spot that comes off, and then it just slides right out. There we go. That should be all we need. Let's see what that gets us. It should be able to pop this up, lean it forward, and hopefully we can get a better view. My flashlight. So it might be a torque. So let me get my set and see what size that is. Now let me show you what I'm dealing with here. Right in there, you can't even hardly tell, but the front of that is a bolt. The problem is there's not enough room between that and the radiator to get any of my tools in. So I wonder if we could just pull off some of this front stuff and pull the radiator forward a little. Not take it out all the way, but just forward enough to get a little more room in there, possibly. So let's start on that. It's just a couple of Phillips, couple of Torques, and a couple of clips. This off here, just a Phillips. This side. These clips in the front, you can have a pair of pliers like this or a flathead screwdriver, either way. Just want to pop these out. There we go. Do this other side. Nice. Got a Torx in the front, T30. And there's a couple of hidden Torx in here. One on this side, one on that side. T25. Okay. We got a T45, 2 on the top, 2 in the front. The one in the front doesn't look like it's gonna clear the headlight. Just keep getting deeper into this thing. 2 T20s, maybe this can just move out of the way just enough. Get this one on the bottom too. That reveals 2 more down here. Not trying to take it out, just trying to move it. Looks like it is being taken out most of the way. All right, that should be plenty now. That gives me just enough room. I can pull this forward to get a T50. That's what's on the front here, T50. Let me show you what I'm doing back here on the fan, just to keep it from spinning. Get some light. So I have a 2-inch fan clutch wrench. You can get these from the auto parts store. You can just rent them, but let me see if I can show you. There are those bolts there. So it spans over the top of 2 of them, just like that. And then it can prevent it from spinning. As I break that bolt loose in the front, that'll prevent the whole thing from spinning. 1 7/8 I also tried. It works. It's just a tad on the small side, but it does work, and you can hold it in place. But 2-inch works the best. If you don't have that or can't find one, another thing you can do is tighten up the serpentine belt by using the tensioner. Just tighten the tensioner up a little more, and that friction from the serpentine belt might be enough to hold that in place. Let's see what I can do. Put this on the front. So that's on there, and then this. Oh, that was not too bad at all. Okay, let me get my tool out before I can't. There we go. I bet I can get the rest of it by hand. Let me see. It's a little too inset. Drop my tool. Probably can't see, but I'm just using the Torx by hand. Nice, got it. So this whole thing should, come on, wiggle off. Nice. I think everything will come out together. Okay. Ha, look at that, it's an Allen. I couldn't get my eyes on it and the manual didn't say what it was. Well, now we know. There we go. I think pulling that out will be easier with the upper radiator hose off, but we haven't drained our coolant yet. That's why I left it on. I wanted to see if we can get that off first before draining the coolant. So now let's drain the coolant. The drain plug is right there on the driver's side or the left side of the radiator. We get a catch pan underneath, and then up here, we'll pull off a radiator cap, and that'll help it drain faster. Having a really big catch pan can help getting most of the coolant. While our coolant's draining, we'll go ahead and keep working. Next, we'll remove our serpentine belt to take a good picture of the routing. Right here is our tensioner. Underneath the belt, you can feel a 3/8 square drive. You want to just put a ratchet there, turn it counterclockwise. That'll release tension and we can pull our belt off. So here's another area where the manual failed me. That is not a square drive. In fact, it's a 17 mil socket, 12 point, but it still should be counterclockwise. There we go. Perfect. If you look at our new pump, it goes like this on the engine. On this side, we have one hose and then a little connection here with 2 bolts. You can see that pretty easily on the engine. And then it's just a series of bolts. This pulley can come off after, and there's a pulley here that can come off after as well. So let's see what size these bolts are. All right, our bolts are an inverted torque, so we need an E12 and an E10. But if you're using a standard 6-point socket, it's gonna be a 10 millimeter and an 8 millimeter. Those should be pretty close. Let's start by pulling that one hose off. All right, get a little angled pick to break the seal. Just go in between the hose. To get a little better room, I am gonna pull this pulley off here. So there's a cap in the front. You can also get that with your pick. There we go. So just a cap like this. I wanna pull the other one off too because there's a bolt behind it. There we go. We can get that with a pick as well, those little caps. So those are a T50. They're much better access. So just get that pick to break free the seal. Now this coolant hose is attached to a metal pipe with 2 bolts. We'll break those loose. E10 or 8 millimeter. I'm just gonna use a little pry bar to pop that hose off. There we go. All right, got that hose free. I'm just gonna pull it up and out so it doesn't keep dripping. I think this other hose I'll get once the main pump is out and I can move it out of the way and get better access. So let's get our main pump bolts out. Looks like only a couple of them are the E10 and the rest are the E12s. I think I got all the bolts. Use a little pry bar to, there we go. Nice, so it's just that one pipe down there that's holding it. These are a T40 holding that little hose on. There we go. Up and out. Nice, that wasn't too bad. The only thing now that needs to be transferred from the old pump is just this pulley here. T30, they're not on there too tight, so we'll just pull those off. This just wiggles right off. Wiggly, wiggly. Come on, buddy. There we go. Now it could be a little challenge getting these lined up with the pump on the vehicle, so I'm gonna put this on the new pump before the pump gets set in. I dropped one of my bolts. There it is. Just gonna line it up on here. There we go. I'm just gonna finger tighten these. Once we have the serpentine belt back on, we can tighten it up the rest of the way. And get out our new gaskets. You wanna wipe our surfaces off really good. Now the old one had a metal gasket, so there shouldn't be much to scrape off or anything. This is a paper gasket. Kinda wish it was metal, but it is what it is. So for these gaskets, you kinda just have to hold them in place. You can use a little RTV to stick if you'd like, but you have to put it on right away. You can't let the RTV dry. So I'm gonna stick this little gasket on the other side first, and then get a couple bolts through. That should kind of hold it in place. Okay, and I'll thread this on. There we go. A few threads, get the other one in, like that. Perfect, that was easy. Tighten it down the rest of the way. Now this thing, just good and snug. I won't be able to get a torque wrench in here. All right, let me get the other big gasket on. Where did I put it? Right here. Okay. Let's get a couple bolts in to hold the gasket in place. Slide that on. Oh, get one of these big ones threaded and started. And then one of these little ones. Yep, that's it. All right, the new pump is in. I'm just gonna snug it down evenly. All right, we'll go ahead and torque these. I'll throw the torque spec up on the screen. The smaller bolts are the smaller torque, and the bigger bolts are the larger torque. Now we can put this hose on. There we go. Put the clamp on. I'm just gonna take a little bit of brake clean and clean off some of these pulleys that got coolant on them before putting the belt back on. We put our idler pulleys back on. The grooved one goes on this side and the smoother one goes on the other side, just in case you forget. I had to think about it myself for a second. And I'll throw the torque spec on the screen for these as well. All right, I'm gonna put the belt back on. In fact, before doing that, let's go ahead and fill it up with coolant and make sure we don't have any silly leaks. All right, there's 1 gallon. Should be enough to see any leaks from around the water pump, just in case that gasket didn't seal. Router serpentine belt. So it's just kind of loosely in there. I'm gonna go over the water pump last. Double check, everything's lined up, looks good. Now I don't have a torque on this pulley here, so just good and snug. It didn't take much to crack them loose, so use your judgment there. All right, just looking around, I think the last thing to do, put our fan back in. Okay, we'll put this in first. Now I still haven't taken the upper radiator hose off, so if that's something you want to do to make it easier, by all means, but I don't want to, so we're gonna do it without doing that. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's it. I think this thing's flexible enough that you don't need to remove the upper radiator hose, but if you want to, go for it. We'll throw our clips back in. Before we do that, let me pop that back out. We gotta put in our fan, so we'll pop this up. There we go. I believe this slid in. Let me get that Allen size first. All right, that is an 8mm Allen. So now we'll slide this in. How did it come out? Like this? Yeah, perfect. Just hand threading it in. Fits in really nice. Throw our Allen on there. I can't get my power tool. No problem. Just keep getting it by hand until it bottoms out. So unfortunately, I do not have a torque spec for this. I looked everywhere and couldn't find it. I was actually surprised how easy it came off, so it's not crazy tight. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Now we can put this on and put the clips in. Clips go in pretty easy. Remember, that other side goes better in from underneath. Then while we're down there, we'll just plug those hoses back into their little clips, and that should be good there. And then we just put all this back on. So now just putting our front stuff on. I don't have any torque specs for this, but just do your best. And this is just going into plastic, so be careful not to strip that plastic out. Just snug is good. So the hidden ones we actually want to start first. Get them started, and this can rest over the top of them. There. Now we can put everything back. Last things to do is put this heat shield back on. We also have these 2 hose bolts for the metal line. I think I forgot to record that, but we'll put those back in as well. Before this, you get better access before you put this on. That's it. Let's continue filling up and bleeding our cooling system. So this is the 2nd gallon going in. Want to be careful not to spill any on our new serpentine belt. Okay, let me just read you what it says. We want to fill this up. It says fill radiator to top and add sufficient coolant to the coolant recovery pressure container to raise level to cold minimum mark. So wherever that is in here, cold minimum, with heater control turned on to the hot position. So we want it totally hot. We want to have the cap on. After engine has reached normal operating temperature, shut engine off and allow it to cool. When engine is cooling down, coolant will be drawn into the radiator from the pressure container. Add coolant to pressure container as necessary. So that's it. Looks like we just heat on, warm it up until it's to operating temperature, then shut it off and top off. Easy enough. As we're warming this up, keep an eye at the temperature gauge. We want to make sure it doesn't overheat, and coming out of the vents, we want to make sure it's nice and hot. And that's it. Once we've reached operating temperature, nice and hot, coming out of the vents, we'll turn it off, let it cool down, top it off. All right, that's how you can place your water pump on a Sprinter. The manual left us in the dark on a few details, but that's okay, we got it. If this video has been helpful, hit that like button. And if you need to replace the glow plugs on yours, click on this video here, and we'll walk through that procedure. Thanks for watching, we'll see you on the next one.